question has a lot of interaction opportunity where you need a lot of different audiences to develop and learn about new habits, right? Specifically, you need people to learn about why it's important to pick garbage, why it's important not to burn certain types of trash, why it's important to consume water a certain way, and that needs a lot of repetitive engagement, right? And that games are perfect for. And yes, it is commendable that AYMCA is already doing some exploration in that world and figuring out how to create games in collaboration with all these different audiences and figuring out how that's a starting point to engage with the rest of the audience, the rest of the market, who are not involved in the game creation process, but will be involved in consuming and playing the games, right?
Yeah.
And giving their own perspectives and their own thoughts.
Yeah.
Chapati ni moto.
Okay, so hi Dean.
Hi. Hey Raymond, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Hi Raymond, how are you?
I'm fine. I always have this bad behavior. Someone warned me, kind of a sound engineer, voice coach, I can't quite remember, to not give people sweets before they do something to do with their vocals, because it kind of distorts.
Changes,
But at the same time, I'm torn between giving people something a bit sugary to kickstart their kind of energy.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to our space. This is the Power Space podcast, and we're on the 13th episode now.
Awesome.
And I'm honored you are here. We are happy you are here. So to our listeners and to our viewers, who is Dean? Some don't know you, so kind of introduce yourself, your name, what you do. Yeah.
That's an interesting statement. First, thank you for having me.
Okay.
Such a pleasure. Been around the AYMCA world for a while, so it's a good step forward. And looking forward to this conversation and many other conversations. My name is Dean, CEO of Kunta Content. I've been working in tech and the creative industry for 14 years now. A lot of interesting projects in music and movies and events and fashion and so on. And more importantly, right now working in games, so building great African games. And I think specifically games that Africans can be proud of, that they can look at and say, oh wow, this is awesome. I love how we were represented, and I love that it is an African team that created this. So that's roughly what I'm working on.
Okay, nice one.
Yeah.
So let me focus on the creative thing and the gaming thing.
Okay.
So, for me, when we were growing up, our parents, all my parents or the parents that I knew were my friends, were really against, let's say, TV. Like anytime we could be seen in front of a TV, it was big. It was trouble.
Yes.
Let alone now me approaching my parent and asking him to buy me something like a console.
Yeah.
Okay, the console is not a problem, but because one, he doesn't know what this console is about. But now telling him this console will make you'll have to be in front of the TV for a few hours. That was trouble.
Yes.
So I'm fascinated. How did you come to get to know about the gaming industry? Did you get this interest from a young age, at maybe teenage level or at campus level, where maybe for most of us at our African or Kenyan experiences where you get much exposure to what's happening in the world?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think the biggest thing for us as Africans is we don't have that much of an introduction into games. If I look back, for example, I started playing games when I was about, I think 8 to 10 years old. And before that, and even after that, I didn't get to play too many games. But there was a short period where I was fortunate enough to play a lot of games. And I think the biggest touch point for me is you'd play a game, let's say like a GTA or a Scarface or a FIFA, and have a lot of fun for a couple of hours. You know, it's the best thing you've ever experienced in your life. It's a fantastic time. Maybe you're playing with friends and it's really, really good, right? It's a great time. And then you step outside your house, right? And you look at what you see versus what you are playing in the game. You know, in the game, you have this perfect world, these perfect skyscrapers and perfect roads and beautiful cars and so on, right? And then you step outside and you're like, oh, okay. GTA did not have any potholes, but here we have many potholes. The cars in GTA are very nice and new and funky. And no. And that was the first touch point of being like, okay, this is different, right? And there's a lot of deeper explanation I have right now, but back then it was just that, hey, this is different. This is not what I was playing. And right now, how I have thought through it, I think the biggest thing is I was playing games and not feeling connected to the games. Like it felt a very different, unique, unnatural experience. And especially if you're playing a character that you look at and you don't see anything that, you know, like communicates to you, right? Different race, different costume, different homes, different language, different everything, right?
It's like there's a certain link missing for you, for the connection to be, let's say, perfect.
Exactly, right? There was a big link that missing. That you look at this guy and you're like, this isn't us or me. And then more and more, the more I think you learn about Africa and you learn about Kenya and you learn about our culture, there's an understanding that, we have a unique, beautiful, even cool history and culture, and that's not represented at all. Way back in movies, in music, and definitely in games, right? And being over time wanting to be part of the journey of creating that. Initially, I thought my job would be just writing stories and someone else would, run the company and make it and so on. I've been fortunate to do a bit of all of that. But more and more getting to a point where we could see games and play games that we could look at and be proud of, right? And say and be like, oh yeah, this is our culture, these are our people, this is our history, and have that represented in a respectful way.
Okay, nice one. So you've mentioned something to do with you thought you'll just be doing the storytelling.
Yes.
But of course there is a moment, or in my guessing there's a moment that it got that made you now pivot from filmmaking into the early startup into the game development. So if I may just ask, if you can remember, hopefully, was there a moment in college, which I'm guessing it's college because most crazy, let me say crazy ideas come up when one is in that college or tertiary level of schooling. So was there a moment in college that pushed you towards the African stories through games, and now you deciding like, not only will I just do the storytelling, but now get into the game development side of it to enable now the storytelling part?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'd say what really made it, what really closed the loop for me in terms of telling African stories was, there was a period I watched a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows, right? And these are all the common ones. There's Merlin, Legend of the Seeker, there's Godfather, there's Spartacus,
God of War.
God of War. There are all these different TV shows, all these different movies, Gladiator, and so on. And from games, of course, God of War, Hitman, GTA, Scarface, FIFA, and so on. And it gets to a point where everything feels the same. right? Like all these stories, all these TV shows, all
The
these
experience is kind of the same.
yeah. The stories are roughly the same. There's that traditional Hollywood story where, oh, there's a detective who gets fired and now he becomes focused and decides to solve this crime and etc. Right? You see that in hundreds of movies and TV shows, right? And the more you watch that and engage with that, the more you're like, hey, there must be something different, right?
Yeah.
And as I got into campus and I started working as a filmmaker, there was a curiosity around, can we tell our own stories? Can we, and maybe follow some of those rules from Hollywood and so on, but can we tell stories that are unique, are different, are more local, are more African, right?
Yeah.
And I'd say that was the main touch point that made me go, okay, maybe there's a path here that you can follow. And over time, seeing that do fairly well, from, no Kenyan shows being made on things like Netflix to know there are so many on Netflix, Showmax, and being part of that ecosystem and learning and getting better, that made me go, okay, then there are many more African stories that can be told and that should be told. Yeah.
Okay, nice one. We're going on well. So, with that, later on came the birth of Kunta Content.
Yes.
Okay. For me, I know Kunta Content, but I know Kunta Content and Hiru, the game.
Yeah.
So I know there's someone listening or viewing us and he or she is totally lost what is Kunta Content, what is Hiru.
Yeah.
So explain to us how you came up and got to the birth of Kunta Content. And I know, or I assume now, as per my knowledge and how I follow you on social media and other platforms, one of the things I'm currently seeing you working on is this Maasai, kind of a Maasai traditional game called Hiru.
Yeah.
So now, after telling us about Kunta Content, now tell us about Hiru the game. And also, I'm interested, is there any meaning behind the games? The names of the
Okay. So we started Kunta Content as the specific thing that made us start Kunta Content was we were working on a few games. I was working at a game studio and also working with a few other developers, doing some light advisory, helping devs think about marketing and so on. And the big insight there was, I felt, and I spoke to some of the current team, and we all felt that no one was making high quality, interesting games. Right? So there are very, very many people building like your simple 2D mobile game that's not too complex or interesting or beautiful. And you play it and it's kind of fun, but it's not something you want to play a game. It's not something you want to tell your friends and so on. And that for us was the first starting point, where we wanted to make games that were high quality, that people all over the world we felt wanted to play, and that we could be proud of, right? That you could give someone this game and forget the business stuff and players and someone could look at it and be like, wow, this is awesome. That was the main period we started Kunta Content. And it didn't even really fully start as a company, more so started as the idea of Hiru. Right? Okay. And Hiru is an interesting project because it technically started, 8 years before we actually started working on the game.
Okay.
So as you said, in those crazy tertiary university moments, started writing the script and writing the outline of what this
the
game
Hiru
would be
game
like.
script.
Yes.
Okay.
And what Hiru is that you're a Maasai warrior, you're fighting poachers, rustlers, you're protecting your cattle, and you go on this epic adventure across Africa. And that was the original story way back in 2011, 2012. Right? And seeing that as a starting point for Kunta Content, where we could expand on this story and build an actual high quality game.
Okay, nice one. So, why do you think Hiru is such a big deal for you and Kunta Content, and why does what makes this game so special? And so far, what has the journey developing it been like? So far, what stage is the game at? And also another important thing for gamers, is it a mobile game or is it a console kind of game?
Yeah, so Hiru is an action adventure game on PC and console. The key goal is to have it be a very high quality visual experience. And what that means is you're playing at potentially very high settings. It's a very high quality game, and you can play it and experience it at a really beautiful visual level, right? So I think good comparisons are games like Last of Us, like Uncharted, like God of War, where they are primarily story led with a big action adventure component. Yeah, it's been an honor working on the game, to be honest. And the key stage we are at, it's called the vertical slice stage. And what you're trying to do at that stage is just perfect the gameplay loop, make sure that it's tight and it's interesting and really high quality, which has been a lot of fun to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice one. So, could you maybe add or react to, maybe have you got any external support apart from the core team that you have? Any maybe potential, you might or might not mention them, partnership interest in the game, and how does it feel for you and the team actually can still present in Africa in the gaming space?
Yeah, that's always an interesting question. So we have gotten a bit of support from Ubisoft and Xbox and Steam and a few others. But it's always important to mention that there was a period for about a year and a half where there was no support, no money, and it was us just purely working on the game, right? We had gotten into some programs that were doing some level of support, but no money and no long-term engagement, right? It was do a program, couple of weeks, and then do your thing, right? So for about a year and a half after that, there was basically zero support, and it was us just believing in and trying to build the project and believing that people wanted to play this game. And then for us at a personal level, there was a growth journey where we were trying to grow from a technical perspective, from a gameplay perspective, and storytelling, right? And getting to a point where people could, where we felt people could play something that we were proud of. Yeah, so that's been an interesting journey. We do represent Africa in a few different ways. It's both an honor and a responsibility.
Yeah, of course.
So we are honored to represent Africa. We are honored to show that African stories and games can be of a certain quality. I think the world over knows that Africa has very powerful visuals and stories and unique people, cultures, and tribes. The bigger challenge is it hasn't really come from Africans. Right? It's mostly been other people from outside Africa who have either come to Africa and done it or done it from there, right? And for the first time in a major medium of storytelling, you're seeing an African team actually do that and actually create that, right? And that we are super proud of.
Okay, awesome. That's one. So let us get into gaming as a tool for youth engagement and social impact. So, in your view, how can digital games act as the digital games or the act of the game design be used by organizations like us, maybe social clubs, social organizations, and non-profit organizations to engage youth and youthful people to tackle social issues? To explain a little bit on that, you can maybe share how gaming is more than just entertainment. For example, can games be used to educate? Maybe can they be used to build skills? And maybe bring youth together and through that they tackled some social issues in that community.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So I'd say games have their own unique culture and language. And the big starting point for most brands and profits, etc., is imagine what your business or organization will be like if you didn't embrace the internet, if you didn't embrace social media, if you didn't embrace even press, if you are not in the newspaper, if you are not on TV, right?
Yeah.
And each of those platforms have their own language, their own expectations, their own audience. And now you're seeing not really a new audience, but a unique audience come up. Okay.
No.
Okay. Continue.
Emphasizing on unique.
Okay, so I thought there was someone like that. Yeah. So you're seeing a unique new language come up, and the question for, I think, for brands and for NGOs and so on is, do you plan to be outside a new major way of communication, right? Where it's like saying, oh, we will not do TikTok, or we will not do TV, or we will not do radio, right? So that's the first decision I think that needs to be made.
Yeah.
The second one, and maybe the more unique one, is the amount of time that especially youthful people are spending in games is extreme and has been growing every year.
Yeah.
But most interesting for me is when more mature parts of the audience start getting into games.
Not the normal, let's say the normal youthful audience.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, for example, one of the largest audiences in games is the 35-year-old and above housewife or mother.
Okay, that's some interesting data.
Yeah, that's a huge audience through games like Candy Crush and so on. You even see it in Candy Crush ads, right? Where they joke that, oh, moms are, playing our game too much. You have to overwork and try to keep up and so on, right?
Yeah.
So there are all these unique audiences, from the youthful audience to the older mom to the older guy who's still playing shooters. So you're seeing a big shift where games used to be a tiny audience-focused platform, specifically around young people, to now this super mature audience, right? And the world has about 2.9 billion players. So those are people who play games at least once a month. So the audience is there. And largely for most brands and most NGOs, they are behind, right? They're delayed because the market has already moved and shifted. And then the final thing I think for them to consider is games have a very powerful interaction step. Different from all other types of engagement, whether content, TV, radio, social media, etc. Games are one of the only mediums where you're getting a person to do something, right? Versus when you're watching something on, let's say, TikTok or Instagram, you're passive, right? Sometimes people are watching as they cook, as they're doing something, they're distracted and so on. Games are one of the few mediums that require focus. And it means you're able to get that focus as you communicate your brand and you engage with the audience. And I think that has the most unique opportunities for brands where you're able to engage directly, right? Because a lot of times someone is watching something on TikTok, but they're distracted or they swipe very fast, and you've just had a few seconds to engage with them. Versus most games have minutes, sometimes hours of engagement.
Okay, nice one. So a little bit back to game design and that whole process of development, from maybe the idea to the storytelling to the whole creation of the whole narrative to developing the characters to the final product. How important have you seen, because I know you've worked with lots of youth in that whole process and a mixture of all, let's say, ages, the youth, the elderly. So how important is it to involve the youth in the creation of these games too, and to maybe kind of give them that sense of ownership and relevance in that process?
I'd say the biggest touch point there is you're likely making games for the youth. And a big key point of it is that we are also youth. I know I look a bit mature, but I'm still youth.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing for the youth is there's been a big desire and curiosity around creating, right? Whether it's tech, whether it's building, and now more and more games, where they want to be part of creating something, right? As a step of ownership, essentially. And what that means and what that results into is that not only are you able to create something that is authentic and familiar to them, you're also able to create something that audience connects to directly and loves, right? And engages with at a really deep level. And that's not something you can generate or buy or get very simply, right? It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of time and a lot of energy.
Okay.
And the opportunity there, I think, becomes the ability to get very unique angles, right? On your story, on your games, on your characters that you normally wouldn't if you don't involve the youth, right? And then finally, from a story standpoint, I think especially the younger youth, if I can say that, have very unique experiences right now that if you are a lot more mature, you might not know, consider, or even respect and understand, right? And if you don't involve them, you miss that opportunity. Yeah.
I think it's especially because the young bloods have also had a more experience in playing the games before now they got into the development part of it.
Yes.
Okay, nice one. So you mentioned something of most organizations or some organizations being left in this wave of new kind of, let's say, communication through the gamified way of communication. And I can maybe proudly say, as the YMCA, we've dipped our feet a little bit into the waters. In November last year, we had November is usually the Africa Youth Month. And last year we had this festival where it was dubbed Let's Play for the Planet. Why play? Because we have a catalog of games that have been developed. I think it's in tens of prototype games that have been developed by various youths in various YMCAs across Africa. And in November, they got the chance to test some of the games. I think you've heard one or two from either I or one of my colleagues about them. So since you are deeply involved in the digital gaming,
Just mute it.
No problem. Okay, so since you are deeply involved into the digital gaming, I'd really love your perspective on this. How do you think the field of gaming can be leveraged by our initiatives, like i.e. the Climate Games Project, for example? Because our feet are a little deep into that industry already. So, and also, for example, could video games or mobile games play a role in educating communities about things like climate change? And how can organizations encourage more youth to participate in more cause-driven game projects?
That's an interesting question, right? So yes, we are not only familiar with making games, but also figuring out how people engage with games. I think the climate question has a lot of interaction opportunity where you need a lot of different audiences to develop and learn about new habits, right? Specifically, you need people to learn about why it's important to pick garbage, why it's important not to burn certain types of trash, why it's important to consume water a certain way, and that needs a lot of repetitive engagement, right? And that games are perfect for. And yes, it is commendable that YMCA is already doing some exploration in that world and figuring out how to create games in collaboration with all these different audiences and figuring out how that's a starting point to engage with the rest of the audience, the rest of the market, who are not involved in the game creation process, but will be involved in consuming and playing the game, right?
Yeah.
And giving their own perspectives and their own thoughts.
Yeah. Okay, nice one. So, ending our conversation, I think I've exhausted most of the things that I wanted to hear from you. Hopefully, also answered most of the questions that our audience might have wanted to ask if they got that opportunity.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion, before we wrap up, I have one last question. Okay. So far, you have accomplished a lot. We are giving people flowers nowadays as they are alive. And let's say you're blazing a trail in this industry.
Thank you.
Because, okay, it's not young, but in our let's take our African context, it's still very ripe.
Yeah.
So, what's your advice or message that you would give to young people that are listening, viewing us today, who love digital tech and gaming, or who have kind of curiosity or interest in that?
Yeah.
And perhaps those who want to follow in your footsteps, because I.e. like me, because I started following you guys on socials and let me say, lack of a better word, coveting your characters than the whole Hiru game. And in the game development, or use their digital skills to make a positive impact.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think number one, the first thing I tell most people who want to create something is create the simplest, easiest version that you can, and release it as quickly as possible.
Regardless if it's digital or something like a board or card game.
Exactly, right? Partly because our experience, fortunately, is that we've already done this to an extent. Right? We've been involved in games, in movies, and so on. So there's a bit of an understanding of what it means to release. But for many younger creatives, the first project is the most important, and it shouldn't be the first one. Should be the first one to go out, and hopefully over time you keep improving, right? Like if I show you,
wait a minute, you said the first one should be the first one to go out.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, should go out really quickly. And I say that because if I remember my first movie, we even joke about it with my friends until today. It was wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you look at it now.
Yes. And to be honest, even then, when you look at it, you're like, hey, are we sure? Are we sure you want to do this? But it was such an important learning lesson. It was such a good opportunity to have an idea, create it, and then complete it and get feedback. Right? And feedback isn't just the market or people telling you, it's also you looking at it in a completed status. And it helps you decide, I think, what direction you want to go. So, for example, you might work on a game and realize, okay, maybe I really want to make this type of game, right? Maybe I really want to make RPG games. Or maybe I want to make casino games, or gambling games, right? But if you don't do that first one and get it done, you never get to that point of learning and realizing. That's probably the most important point of feedback I give. Where as a creative, as a builder, the number one thing is to actually create, is to build, and hopefully release.
Okay, nice one. Then one last question that has just popped up, and it's because I've had that experience, is okay, you might have the desire, you might even actually have the skills. Maybe you went to a digital or gaming school or something, got the skills, but there's some of the main challenges that people or young people face, one being infrastructure. Like, we know that these gaming tools and laptops and whatever they're not cheap.
Yes.
So apart from that, or with that being one of the challenges, what other challenges have you maybe got to interact with the young people and had them speak about?
So uniquely, it's getting to the point where even we as a team, we don't really consider tech to be a stopping challenge. And they say that because if you look at some of the machines that we used to create our first version, you will not believe that you can even open a browser. Right? Like these were second-hand laptops that we bought for like 20K, 25K, right? Like super cheap, right? Very old, buttons are breaking, etc. But we were still able to make them work, right? So it's getting to the point where tech really isn't a challenge.
It's not a good excuse.
Yes, it's not a good excuse. And maybe, unfortunately, it's largely because we consume a lot of tech content from the West, from very high quality creators, right? And then you look at your machine and you're like, hey, can this really do?
Yeah.
But fortunately, most software has really good optimization. If you play around with the settings enough, you can get it to work on even a potato machine.
Yeah.
It's difficult to do, but it's possible. And what it did for us is that we got really good at optimizing very early because we had to. We had no choice, right? Like the machine will not run, it will crash, it will burn. So you optimize that thing. That's a really important lesson for us. And uniquely, when we started meeting other top developers from around the world, because for them budget and tech wasn't an issue, there's a different way they built their games. And when we showed our way and our process, there was a sense of learning and excitement from them.
You're a bit fascinated.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, oh wow, it's possible. And they had never thought about it.
Yeah, someone seen you kill something with a spear.
Yes.
Even doesn't know what a spear is.
Exactly, right? So, like, all these teams are used to CPUs that are worth $5,000, that's for an intern, and so on. Like, a really good machine, right? Versus for us, like, we are used to far less. And it means we changed how we built. And we became, in some ways, much more efficient than them. So I think the big thing there is for you, when you're creating, don't worry too much about the tools. The tools can be worked around. And you'll, I think, learn a lot as you work around them.
Okay.
Worry more about your ability to create, even with those limitations. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one. Thank you for your time. I think we've actually come to the end of our conversation. I think it was that 6 minutes.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Not bad.
Yeah, thank you, and hope to have you again on the podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me, and hope to come back soon.
Okay, karibu.
Aye.
Adios to our viewers and listeners.
Okay, thank you.